Now in the second part of our video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this here. And we're going to split this into two parts because one is a little bit more difficult than the other, so we're going to do the first two parts here. Now in the previous part of the question, we'd worked out the arithmetic sequence, we'd worked out the sum, and we'd worked out the total and the number of days it had taken to sell approximately 500 cakes. Now in this question, it's a little bit trickier because of the way the question is phrased. Here we were told that John's Bakery sells 300 cakes on the weekend opening. 2 days subsequently he sells 120 cakes on the Monday, and each day after that 80% of the previous day's sales. So our question has got to be, when does the sequence actually start in terms of the number of days? Alright, well if we look at the actual sequence itself, what we have is we're sold on the Saturday and the Sunday that we sell 300 cakes, and then followed by 120 cakes. So day 1 and day 2 is 300, and day 3 is 120. And then if we go to our calculator, 120 times 0.8, that tells us that on day 4 we have 96, and if we do the same thing again, times 0.8, and on day 5 we've got 76.8. Now the first thing that we have to work out, of course, is what is the total sold on after 12 days and the amount sold on day 14. So first of all we'll deal with the amount that's sold on day number 14. So that's going to be a number similar to one of these that appears in the sequence. So we're trying to find the term. Now the formula that we know for that is our term n equals a times r to the n minus 1. Now, the important part of this is that you realize that the term that we are looking for, or rather the nth term here, is not 14. Because our first 2 days are taken up by selling 300, and we don't know exactly how many are sold on each day, and it doesn't form part of the sequence. Our sequence actually starts from day number 3. So, in that case, we need to use our formula here, but fill it out slightly differently. So, our term n for not the 14th, but the 12th day in the sequence equals our first term times our ratio, which is 0.8, times n to the minus 1. Well, n is, we're looking for the 12th term, so we need to find, just a reminder here, the 12th term. So n minus 1 is 11. 12 minus 1 is 11. So, and of course our first term there is 120. So let's just write that out a bit neatly. Equals 120 times 0.8 to 11. Now on our calculators, all we need to do then is to write that in. So it's 120 times 0.8, which is our ratio, to the 11, and that is 10.307. So our term 12 is 10.37, and in this case it is cake. So that means we'll sell on what is actually the 14th day, we will sell 10.37 cakes on day 14. So that gives us that one. Now the next part is, again, the total amount sold after 12 days. So, once again, we have to take into account that on the first 2 days, we'll sell 300 cakes. So what we have to find out is the sum of the total from day 3 through to day 12. So we're going to go from day 3 to day 12, which of course is 2 days less, so it's actually 10 days. So we're going to find the sum of the total sold day 3 to day 12. Okay, and if you work that out, that means that n equals 10. Okay, if you do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you'll find that there are 10 terms. Okay, So let's just write down what we know. The first term in the sequence, which is A, is 120, because that's how many we sell on Monday. The ratio is 80%, which is 0.8. And that's all we need to know. So we're going to use the formula. Let's have a look. Our formula says that the sum is our A, our first term, 1 minus r to the power n over 1 minus r. And we use this version of the formula simply because it is less than 1. Okay, so this is the formula that we use when the ratio is less than 1. We're going to use this formula here. Okay, so the sum is what we're trying to find, equals our first term is 120, 1 minus 0.8, and n, of course, in this case is 10, divided by 1 minus 0.8. So, we're going to work out what's in the brackets first, so let's do that. So Sn equals 120, so 1 minus 0.8 to the power of 10, 0.8926. We'll just leave that number in the calculator. I'll just simplify it here. 1 minus 0.892 divided by that minus that, of course, is 0.2. So we're going to do that and divide that by 0.2. and times it by 120 gives us 535.57. So our total is 535.57. Now, of course, it doesn't end there, because of course we sold 300 in the first 2 days. So plus our 300, that gives us a new total of 835.57 cakes to day number 12. Okay, so that's our 10 days of the sequence, followed by 2 days at the weekend when we sold 300. So that means that in the same time as the other, we managed to sell 835.57.